I'm excited to welcome in Coach RC, head women's tennis coach at DePaul. Coach, thanks for joining today.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I am a fan of you and your team and all the good things that you guys are doing over at DePaul. I'm a huge college tennis fan and being able to watch from afar. So it's exciting when things are normal to come to matches and see how hard everyone plays over there. I mean, I think you're definitely setting the precedent for a great program at DePaul.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know this last 12 to 14 months has been somewhat very interesting for the world, for you, for tennis, and everything in between. And so I would just like to kick off today's conversation with you, talking a little bit about how are you dealing with so much uncertainty as you go into your season this weekend.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are outside of our control. I've heard of other teams even at DePaul that they're an hour before their game and it gets canceled for whatever reason. And so I think just being aware that that could happen to us and but just worrying about what we can control. There's 100 things that we cannot control, but there's just as many, if not more, things that we can control. And if we're doing the right things, then I don't think we'll have any regrets, and hopefully we'll stay healthy and safe. And that's all we can really do. If something happens, with our opponent's team or anything that's outside of our control, then so be it. But that's kind of even without COVID, we preach that a lot on the team. There's no point in expending energy on things that we cannot control. So we talk about that a lot, but I think it's even has more importance right now because we could have a match canceled or a weekend canceled, and we did everything right, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of you saying, you got to be flexible. And I totally agree with you in terms of just controlling what you can control because a lot of things right now are out of your control. And if you get mad at things you can't control, I mean, it's going to be tough. So I agree with you in terms of preaching that to your team. And obviously, it will help you focus on, those things that you can control. And I think if you're focused on those things you can control, no matter what happens, you'll be able to put your best foot forward, which I think is important. Um,
Definitely.
and that leads me to my next question. When I was at Toledo playing, we were big on, setting goals, and that's in normal circumstances. So really curious to understand how have you been going about goal setting over the last 3 to 6 months as you think about your team?
Yeah, I think process goals are so important. Having the outcome goal, for us, like winning the Big East championship, winning a round in the NCAA tournament, like those are huge. That's what, drives us every day. But, just having that goal isn't going to be enough. What you do day in and day out, that's what, is going to determine if you achieve that goal or not, or at least, put your best foot forward to achieve it. You could, do everything and, not reach that goal, but, yeah, what you do every single day. So I'm a big believer that you either get better or worse every time you step out into the court. There's just so many factors that go into, being a tennis player, mental, physical, everything, that even if you're not playing your best, that's a chance to work on, dealing with that and maybe the mental side, or going across court from behind the baseline and like, dumbing it down and, keeping it simple so that, you still got better that day because you overcame, that challenge. And, when you're feeling great, awesome, you're still getting better. And just making sure that every time you step out into the court, you're getting better. And then, our team's better come the end of April, early May, when, those goals are, going to be achieved or not achieved, and try to learn from every match and every practice in between, and that we're going to lose matches. But just like pull things out of them that will make you, better and closer to your goal. So yeah, I mean, we still have our same goals, but I really think it comes down to what we do every single day to, put us in the position to achieve them at the end of the season. And hopefully we get to the end of the season. I think that was one of the hard things last year is like, those goals that we had, most of them, the big ones, are at the end of the season. So like, we were successful earlier on and did a lot of things that, we're super proud of, but we never got the chance to play in the Big East tournament or play in the NCAA tournament. We only played a couple of Big East teams. So I'm really looking forward to this season and, hopefully playing a full season and getting to experience those things, because last year was my first year at DePaul. So I haven't experienced a Big East tournament or, playing that, those conference matches while at DePaul.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more with you just in terms of the process and focusing on the process. It's funny because when I was in college, everything that I did was, goal oriented, and I didn't think much about the process. And it's funny now that I'm an aging adult, I'm very focused on just the day-to-day process, like not even really thinking about the goal. And you have these large goals and what you want to do. However, it doesn't matter if you're not going to win the day, because if you don't win the day, you can't win the week. And then by the time you get to the goal, you won't be ready for the goal. And I hear you in terms of just saying, hey, we want to make it to the end of the season, because again, that's something you can't control. You can only hope for and prepare for as though you are going to, be able to make it to the end of the season and compete that far along, just given the current circumstances. And just a follow.
And there's something, I think it was either Federer or Djokovic was asking about, like, how do you become like the best in the world, at something? And their answer was like, well, you have to become your best first, and then you can work towards being the best in the world. But if you're not at your personal best, then you can't be the best in the world. And it's an obvious statement, but like, yeah, just focusing. If you have this goal of being the best in the world, like, how are you ever going to get there? You got to just keep getting better and better and better and better every day. And, if you're Roger Federer, you'll get there. I don't know if I'll get there, but, that's where it starts.
Yeah. I agree. That's true. You gotta find the best within yourself. And I think by you giving your best effort, you bring out the best in others around you. And I think that's what the special part about being on a team and playing college tennis is, you're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for your other teammates, your coaches, your trainers, everybody who's helped you get to that point and sees that potential that you have in yourself, probably more so than you do in your own self sometimes.
Definitely.
And as far as like, one thing that a follow up to what you just said in terms of team building, how hard has that been? And I asked that question because that was such a big part of, and it's always been a big part of college tennis, being on a team and traveling and the road trips and eating dinners together. How has that changed for you? And then how are you still making a way to help bring forward team camaraderie?
Yeah, that's probably been one of the biggest challenges. And I mean, a lot of it we haven't experienced yet, but like this weekend we're traveling on a coach bus, with 10 of us, which, so we can stay 6 feet apart, where we're used to literally being piled into a 12 passenger van, which, I mean, there's 10 of us, but with all of our bags, like, we don't fit. So we're used to like really, really tight quarters. Now we're going to have all this space, but even if restaurants are open wherever we're going, we're not allowed to eat in restaurants. We get everything to go. You take it to your room, you eat, apart from everybody else. It's going to be weird. It's going to be definitely a different experience, because I agree. That's the best part of road trips is, all the time you spend together. And that's when you really get to know each other too. So, I mean, obviously we can still talk like on the bus. It's just, we're more spread out, but yeah, not having the team meals and everything is definitely gonna change the experience. And it's hard to say exactly how it will change it, but it will definitely be different. And I mean, some of the things that we've, been doing this past fall is trying to add some of that stuff like into our practices and conditioning, like team camaraderie stuff. Like the other day we played spike ball at the end of conditioning, and sometimes we'll do something fun like right before practice. And the the give and take is like we're taking 10 minutes out of our practice time to do this, but as you know, I mean, it's just so important that our team is one unit, and that they are bonding, and that they do have camaraderie, because it's essential, in what we do. We want to be competing as a team out there, not as 6 individuals. And so it's definitely, on us to be creative and, use the time that we have to make sure that we're, getting that sort of stuff done too. And even like team meetings, like we can't have like a team meeting right now. But I mean, if we're at practice, like it's just like explaining a drill, but we can address like certain things, but it's wild, it's different. So hopefully we get through this, soon. But I mean, you always find a way to be creative and just do it a different way. It doesn't have to be the way it's been done, forever. We just have to be creative and find that way that works for our current climate.
Absolutely. And have you found yourself to be more creative? Like, has your creative sense come out of you that you didn't know you had because of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think even like this summer I worked a lot with like young kids, like 8 to 12-year-olds. I was just helping out at a camp, and normally I don't, because I'm like recruiting and like kidding with some girls on my team, and just like don't work with the kids anymore, or as much as I used to. And so I did 8 weeks straight of camp, and I mean, I came up with so many different like games and drills that like, I mean, it can be used at any level, and you just like feed it quicker for the higher level, or you just tweak one thing. And yeah, so I had a lot more like different types of games, just from like literally just playing around with the kids. And I think the girls like it. It's good to change it up. I mean, you get into the drills and games that you like, but like you do it all the time, they're not as fun. So kind of keep them on their toes, and still get work done. But yeah,
you can only hit cross court
spice it up
so long, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, you just lose focus. So I think we've been kind of creative.
Cool. Last question for you. So I'm always curious to know, what is one thing that the pandemic has taught you that you'll take forward, as you go forward in coaching?
I think just like gratitude to be doing what we're doing. It was something that I felt so strongly, like from myself, but like I could see it in my team as well. Like this fall, we weren't allowed to compete, but we were practicing together every day, and the aura was just like different. We never like had like a bad aura or anything, but everyone just seemed so grateful to be out there. We had been apart since March, and finally we're all back together. We're practicing every day, and just, I mean, the atmosphere couldn't have been more enthusiastic. And it's something we've talked about on our team, and something that I hope we don't lose. And I try to keep it in the forefront of my mind, especially like as we go through the season, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind, but like just to be just so happy that we're having a season, and we're doing what we're doing, because we all remember vividly like how it felt to just get that text or that email, and like that, our season's done last year, and it's totally out of our control. And it's just like you're going home, and like before you know it, we're at IU playing them, and like within 5 days, like we're home in quarantine. It's crazy. So I think we all still remember that, and are just like grateful to be so far practicing, and hopefully in a couple of days competing.
Yeah. I couldn't, to your point, it was one of the first times in sports ever where all sports just kind of stopped at the same time. Usually you get a player who gets injured and they're out for the season, but no matter if you're injured, healthy, whatever, everybody stopped at the same time. And I think, to your point, just being grateful, because you don't want that to be the last tennis ball you hit that year, against another school or another program or another player. So I think that level of gratitude will carry, your entire team and program to great levels.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure it's happening, all over the country. We all went through this crazy thing. I mean, we're still going through it, but like, I don't know. I think we just got to be so happy that we're playing right now. Um, I've heard like some people saying like they didn't even know how much they loved tennis until it was like taken away, basically.
Right.
It's like it had become, sometimes it becomes like a job. Um, and yeah, this really kind of, brings back those feelings that like, wow, I really do enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't know how much I enjoyed tennis
Yeah.
until you can't do it anymore, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but I mean, I think that's a good thing, just the appreciation, and again, just the being grateful for, if I'm a player, coaches and clothes and everything you get, and to prepare you to play better on the weekends or during the weeks or mornings, nights, however it may be this year.
Yeah,
But just to be able to go out there and play, I think it'll be fun.
for
So
sure.
from my perspective, I'll be watching from the distance because I know, having fans is a touchy subject depending on states and conference and
Yeah.
whatnot. But first, I want to say thank you for taking the time to chat about your upcoming season and then some of the challenges and what your outlook is. Again, I'm very bullish. I like to say bullish like I'm in the stock market, but I'm very bullish on you guys, and I hope for all the best for your season and that everybody stays healthy and safe.